Friday, September 20th is a huge night of racing at Harrah's Hoosier Park. There's a stakes-filled card, 15 races, almost $1.4 million in purses. We'll have free harness IPPs. We'll have a 5% rebate via DRF bets. We'll have live video for the entire card. Just check out the QR code on your screen and you'll catch it all. We're going to talk about two of the races on the card featuring the older pacers and the older trotters. It starts in race 12, Matt, with the Harrah's Hoosier Park Pacing Derby for $165,000.
Yeah, the Harrah's Hoosier Park Pacing Derby and the Caesars Trotting Classic are the two feature races. They also started $20,000 guaranteed pick four pool, races 12 through 15. And a lot of familiar faces here with the aged older pacers and a lot of talents. A lot of ways you can go in this race also.
We're going to take a look at some of the replays here, starting with Little Rocket Man, who won last time in the Ewart Memorial. A bunch of these horses were in there, and Little Rocket Man's coming first over. First time Dave Miller, and he just powers away from the field, Matt.
It's amazing how this horse just keeps bringing it week after week, year after year. I mean, he just toys with this field, basically. And it's not, this is no cheapo field either. He draws away for fun. We saw this guy win in the Battle Lake Erie at Northfield from off the pace. We know he can do it on the pace, off the pace, however he needs to do it. He's got a decent mid-pack post. You see 5-2 on the morning line. Is he the favorite here?
I don't know if he's the favorite or not. A Buck About Hanover is certainly going to take plenty of money. But one of the horses that came out of that race was By the Missile, who was coming off a 3-month layoff. You saw him. He kind of floated out wide off the final turn and was just even. He looked like a horse that was short. Could this be? This horse obviously came off a great year last year, $984,000. Maybe he just needed that race, Matt.
Yeah, it's been a I'm sure a very frustrating year for the connections of By the Missile after coming off his great season in 2023. You get Yannick Gingras back listed to drive. I imagine that Yannick gets along better with this horse, or obviously has a ton of experience, a ton of wins. I'm just not convinced that he's 100% ready to go. And he's got a tough post. And, yeah, we saw in the Ewart, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't particularly good either. So, I don't know. I'm not convinced that he's going to step up off that race and be ready to, to fire a winning shot.
Two of these horses are coming out of the Canadian Pacing Derby. The first and second place finishers, It's My Show and A Buck About Hanover. We're going to take a look at that replay. And here's another race where you have a horse coming first over and A Buck About Hanover, who's really giving the leader all he can handle, Bucephalus. And then you're going to have Scott Zeron pulling off his usual magic trick with It's My Show, Matt.
Yeah, It's My Show showed early speed to get into position. Ends up, you see, jammed at 3-hole. He's loaded with pace. Scott Zeron with the Luna Toscano trainee finds room, and you're not sure he's going to get there. Buck About Hanover certainly did everything he could to win, and that's just a tough beat. But It's My Show. I've kind of been fond of this horse after not being in love with him as a 3-year-old. I've kind of been fond of him now as a 4-year-old, and he's certainly rounded right back into top shape after a couple questionable efforts. And yeah, I mean, I like him here. I really do.
What's interesting, I think, about this race is, you see some 20-to-1s up there on the board, but I mean, on their best day, almost any of these horses could really win this race given the right trip, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, has anybody really stepped up yet in the age pacing group? Not really. And we have some, notable names here. Charlie May, you can never count him out. You mentioned By the Missile, A Buck About Hanover. Duncan from the rail is a 4-year-old, has just been, it's almost like a dream season, a dream horse for his connections. It's almost amazing. He's closing.
Imagine paying $7,000 for a horse, Matt. $7,000 for a horse, and the horse makes $644,000.
And it shows those signs of slowing down for Ohio connections now. And Nick and Betty Clegg, Scott DiDomenico, they sent him out to DiDomenico when he went out to Yonkers. And I believe we saw him with a slight upset recently over the surface. So, I mean, he wouldn't surprise me at all either. I don't know if the rail is maybe the best spot. Tim Dietrich, it's a tough. It can be tough to come up with the proper trip, leaving from the rail with the long run into the first turn. But he's just another one out of all these that would not necessarily surprise me.
Why don't we take a look at our selections for the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby? I'm going by the Missile here. I'm taking a shot that he's ready, and I'm taking a shot figuring that I'm going to get a price here. Obviously, if I look up at the board and he's 2-1 because Yannick's taking the drive this time, I don't know that I want any part of him at 2-1, but I'm assuming I'm going to get 4, 5, 6-1, and that to me makes him enticing. I don't know if we're going to get the listed 8-1 morning on, and it's my show, but obviously he's sharp right now. Little Rocket Man is super sharp. A Buck of Ben Hanover. The only thing I don't like about a Buck of Ben Hanover is that he's always the favorite, and I just don't want to bet him as the favorite.
Especially from the he's going to have to work probably looking at some sort of 2-move effort out of the 8-hole also. Not the easiest starting spot, but yeah, I mean, let's say he ends up with a nice cover trip, instead of a first over rush, and yeah, he could be fresh as slate. But yeah, again, he always takes money, and I'd rather I'll get beat by him at a short price rather than defer to him on top or even anywhere in my top 4.
Well, you went with It's My Show, so what do you like about him?
I like how he had a problem. He got a rough effort in the pre-detect and basically looked like he was tailing off and then bounces right back and wins the Canadian Pacing Derby. You can almost say out of nowhere. He took money in that race too, so it's not like it was a complete surprise. Followed it up in a much easier spot at Lexington, and I just think he impressed me how he bounced back so quickly, right back to winning form. And you saw how loaded he was in the Canadian Pacing Derby. Now, after using early speed, I think Giwner's going to be aggressive with this one again, especially from the inside post. And I just he's going to be a better price, I think, than Little Rocket Man or the other ones. So looking for a 4, 5-1 price angle also.
Okay, so we're going to move on to race number 13 now, and that is the Caesars Trotting Classic. They're going for $200,000 in the Caesars Trotting Classic. Another strong field with lots of good contenders in this field, Matt.
Oh, yeah, a lot of, again, nobody's really, much like the Pacers, there hasn't really been an age trotter that's really distinguished himself. But we have a lot of familiar names. It's Academic, who always brings a big effort when it comes to Hoosiers, returning champion of this race. Curriculum, who's in razor sharp form after Scott Zeron. Winner's Bet, Nancy Tactor, 4-year-old, along with Oh Well, 2 big, sharp 4-year-olds. Again, much like the 12th race, this race go a number of different ways. No odds-on favorites, no a lot of value to be had, I guess you could say.
The morning line favorite is Curriculum at 5-2. We're going to take a look at the MGM Yonkers International Trot, where he raced last time. And you know what? He really had no shot. Jiggy Jog's on the lead by like 4 lengths here. He's making the wide move at the back, and following him is It's Academic trying to get into it. Then he did all he could. I mean, it was another great effort, Matt.
Oh, yeah, it's a solid second-place finish. And like you said, Jiggy Jog, who was the best trotter in North America, I guess you could say right now, doing his own thing on the front end. This is a mile and a quarter race. You probably could have gone 2 miles. It wouldn't have mattered. But Curriculum is just razor sharp. Ever since the 3 starts since Scott Zeron got in the bike, he's just been flawless with 2 wins and that second-place finish in the Yonkers International Trot. I don't see any reason why he should be slowing down here. He might be the peaking horse to take over this division, let's say, with the exception of Jiggy Jog. But I like him. Again, Scott Zeron, I might be on a Scott Zeron kick here, but he will be my top pick. I know he's 5-2 morning line. I don't expect him to be hammered at the windows. So he will be my top pick, but I like some value underneath.
The second choice on the morning line here is Winner's Bet. We're getting 7-2 on him. He comes out of the Charlie Hill Memorial at Scioto Downs. We're going to take a look at that replay, and he was absolutely spectacular here. Dexter Dunn came first over with him, and he just blew this field away.
Yeah, kind of looks like the Little Rocket Man in Ewart, but maybe you have to work a little bit harder than Little Rocket Man, but still same type of first over trip. And
it was first over, but I mean, he only won by a length. But when I say blew this field away, they could have run around again.
No, I know.
They won by 4.
He's measured. He's drawing away. Even when there's a fresh horse to his inside, he's drawn away from that one. So yeah, I'll agree with you. The margin of victory doesn't indicate maybe how easily he raced, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to race any harder. So yeah, another 4-year-olds. I guess a lot of 4-year-olds that are trying to make their mark in the aged trotting fields. So
one of them is Ponda Jet, Matt, who's Indiana based for Jay Hochstetler, 4-year-old that has tons of early speed, is 1 in 150. Does he kind of have a tactical and home field advantage?
Yeah, I was going to say obviously the home field advantage, along with Flagman, who races regularly, but Ponda Jet has obviously a tactical edge on that one. Has all the speed in the world, has a decent mid-pack post. Has an enticing 15-1 morning line. I don't know what odds you're going to see on him. I'll defer that to you, how you think he's going to get played here. But yeah, I mean, this barn has done great things, especially in Indiana the last couple of seasons. He wouldn't surprise me at all here to win or be in the top 4.
Another Indiana horse that doesn't typically race a lot in Indiana anymore is MM's Dream. I noticed that there's a trainer change here from Burke to Henry Graber. I'm thinking that's because Burke already has 2 in the race, so they did a little, fancy footwork there. But we're getting Tim Tetrick in the bike instead of Dave Miller because Dave Miller's on It's Academic. She really wasn't that bad in her last start. She was just way too far back.
No, she hasn't been that bad really at all this year, and I don't blame him for the finish in the excuse me, the McCuna trot over Yonkers. Again, mile and a quarter, not much pace, too far back. He has to navigate a second tier here, but yeah, he's another notable name and a veteran who's been around a while, along with It's Academic. So yeah, although I didn't use him in my top 4, another one would not surprise me.
Let's take a look at our top picks here for race number 13, the Caesars Trotting Classic. Keep in mind there's a $20,000 guaranteed superfecta pool in this race as well. For those that want to dive in deeper, I'm going with Winner's Bet on top. I was super impressed with the Hill Memorial performance. But more than that, if you go back earlier this year, this horse was thought to maybe be the best trotter around. He was just spectacular. And then he just simply had a bad month. August didn't go his way, and now he's back, and he seems as sharp as ever. So I don't see any reason why not to go with him, especially since I think maybe he has a bit of a tactical edge on a horse like Periculum, who has been coming from off the pace and taking it more patiently.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think Winner's Bet is going to be in front of Periculum at some point or through this race?
Yeah, 100%. Really? I think Winner's Bet is going to leave this race. I don't think you're going to see an off-the-pace trip here.
So he'll be leaving. You're going to have Ponda Jet right to his inside leaving. Periculum, I love the driver change, and it's like not that he was bad in any way, but it's like he's a new horse, and he's in these 3 starts since Yaron's driving. I think he might have a tactical edge on a couple of these because I can't see him not trying to push off a little bit. He might not be able to fire off the gate, but I think Giwner could generate some more speed out of him and take a more aggressive approach, and that's where I'm going on top. I'm definitely using It's Academic, who won this race last year. I believe was second the year before, and always brings a top-notch effort at Hoosier Park. And I see 15-1 on the morning line. It's not like he's been bad in any of these races either. That entices me because he could be overlooked a little bit.
Well, we got 15 races on the card at Hoosier on Friday. The races start at 6 o'clock, so a bit earlier than the normal 6:15 post time. We'll have free PPs, 5% rebate via DRF bets, and also you can watch all the races live, all at DRF. Good luck.